Have you ever noticed that rich people never seem to run out of money? They buy islands, launch rockets, and build hotels shaped like guitars. Meanwhile, you buy a sandwich and your bank account starts crying. That's because the rich don't play the same game as us. They play a secret game called Buy, Borrow, Die. And if that sounds like the worst mobile game ever invented, well, congratulations, you're poor. Buy. So let's start with the first move, buy. When I say buy, I don't mean buying a brand new iPhone you can't afford or a 2025 BMW with a 7-year loan. That's how normal people buy. Rich people buy differently. They buy things that make them more money. Think real estate, stocks, private companies, or even sports teams. Jeff Bezos doesn't just buy a house. He buys the entire neighborhood and calls it an investment. Warren Buffett doesn't buy McDonald's cheeseburgers. He buys McDonald's stock so you can pay for his next cheeseburger. It's like Pokemon cards, but instead of Charizard, they collect buildings, companies, and sometimes entire countries if you're Saudi Arabia. And the trick is this. Once they buy these assets, they don't actually sell them, because selling would mean paying taxes. And billionaires hate taxes almost as much as they hate flying commercial airlines. But why does this matter? Let me explain with a simple example. You buy a $1,000 iPhone, it loses value instantly. Next year, it's worth maybe $400 if you're lucky. Billionaire buys a $1 million building. It goes up in value every year. The rent comes in, the value rises. Suddenly, their $1 million becomes $1,200,000 without lifting a finger. So while you're updating Instagram on a cracked iPhone, they're making $200,000 just by existing. That's why buying for the rich isn't about consuming. It's about collecting golden eggs that keep hatching more golden eggs. And unlike your fridge eggs, these never expire. And here's the funny part. The more they buy, the easier it gets. Banks line up to give them money. Politicians beg them to invest in their cities. And the government gives them tax breaks for things like creating jobs, which usually means hiring one guy to water their 50-acre lawn. So step one is clear. Buy assets that make money, not stuff that makes you broke. But of course, the rich don't stop there, because buying is just the setup. Borrow. Now we get to the part where rich people truly separate themselves from the rest of us. Borrow. See, normal people borrow money for sad things. You borrow to buy a car that loses value the moment you drive it. You borrow for a degree that takes 10 years to pay off and still doesn't get you a job. You borrow for a house and then cry every month when the bank eats your salary like a hungry hippo. But billionaires, oh, they borrow differently. Let's say Jeff Bezos owns $100 billion worth of Amazon stock. If he sells that stock to get cash, the government will show up like, hey buddy, time to pay $20 billion in taxes. And Jeff Bezos does not like that. So what does he do? He doesn't sell, he borrows against it. He goes to the bank and says, hi, I have $100 billion in Amazon stock. Can you give me $5 billion cash? The bank says, of course, Mr. Bezos. Anything else? A massage, a free yacht, and boom. He gets billions in cash, tax-free, because loans aren't income. Loans are just debt. Meanwhile, the rest of us take a loan, and the bank treats us like criminal. They check your credit score, your blood type. But for the rich, loans are free money. And the best part? The interest on those loans is often less than what they'd pay in taxes if they just sold the stock. That means borrowing actually saves them money. It's like this. Normal person borrows $10,000 for a used car, pays back $12,000. Rich person borrows $100 million, buys a yacht, pays less in taxes than their secretary. This is why Elon Musk can build rockets. Mark Zuckerberg can buy whole islands, and you can't even get approved for a new credit card. So that's step two. The rich borrow from their assets, and the government just shrugs. Die. Now we get to the grand finale. Die. And trust me, even death is a loophole for the rich. Here's how it works. When you die, the government is supposed to collect taxes on all the wealth you built up. Sounds fair, right? Wrong. Because the rich invented something called the step-up basis. What does that mean? Simple. When a billionaire dies, the value of their assets magically resets to the current market price. That means all the taxes they would have paid on the gains disappear, poof, gone, like your paycheck on payday. So let's say Grandpa Billionaire bought a house in 1970 for $200,000. Today, it's worth $20 million. If he sold it while alive, he'd owe taxes on all that gain. But if he dies and leaves it to his kids, the kids get it, as if they just bought it Today, for $20 million, no taxes owed, free mansion. This is why billionaire kids cry in private jets. Not because of taxes, but because their TikTok only got 2,000 likes. And it's not just houses, it's stocks, companies, everything. The family keeps the fortune, the government collects nothing, and you're sitting there wondering why your inheritance was just grandma's old couch. To make it worse, the cycle repeats. The kids now own the assets, they borrow against them, they never sell, and then they die, and their kids inherit it all over again. It's like the world's most unfair cheat code. Infinite money, zero taxes. Meanwhile, when you die, your family inherits your student loans, your credit card debt, and maybe a half-used Starbucks gift card. This cycle never stops. It's like Monopoly, except you never get sent to jail. Conclusion. So here's the truth. Buy, borrow, die isn't just a loophole. It's the ultimate cheat code that keeps the rich rich and the rest of us stuck. And until the rules change, you and I can't play this game. We're stuck in work, pay, repeat, which is not nearly as fun. But at least now you know the trick. Next time you hear a billionaire bragging about being self-made, just remember, self-made with a little help from an infinite money glitch. If you enjoyed learning how the rich keep dodging taxes while you dodge overdraft fees, hit that like button, drop a comment about the most ridiculous loophole you've ever heard, and don't forget to subscribe. Because here, we expose the myths, the scams, and the financial tricks that they don't want you to know. And who knows, maybe one day we'll all get to play buy, borrow, die. Until then, welcome back to reality.